This is the ARLA Elite Series, here for race number 10 of 24 in Buffalo, Wyoming. Smash Beer Pole Award would go to Ronald Porter in car number 45. Porter has been very inconsistent over the past couple of years, either runs very well or he fails to qualify. Last year he won 2 consecutive races while at the same time producing a batch of DNQs. The first caution flew on the very first lap. Bixby Foot, coming off of his best career finish last weekend, is going to hook and turn the 5 of Olivier Martinez in turn 4 and set off a massive pile-up. Michael White, CJ DeJow, Leslie Riggs, Charlie Waters, Brenda Riggs, Justin Parker, Scott Dalitz making his first start, among others. I also saw Marcus Leonard smoking and Cody Richards with damage to his front end. A lot more patience could have been used here. Qualifying race also had its first incident on the first lap. This is how Brenda Riggs spins herself out. Harry Nola, the 09, slows down much better than the 67 does. Anthony Griffith and Bruno Battaglia were squeezed into the wall because of this. Let's take a look at this from Lance Andrews beginning his stint in the Grove 76. He was right in the middle of the pack when this wreck started, but as you're going to see, he's going to get through it. Ronald Porter would lead on the restart with Liz Hebert in the 31 right behind him. However, Kurt Walker and Kevin Monroe are going to blast by the 31 and start chasing down the 45. As you can tell by the rear end of Michael White's car, he was involved in that lap 1 wreck. But surprisingly, the 0 did not fall off the pace. In fact, he's actually making up ground on the leaders. Caution 2 would fly on lap 8. Mike Andrews thinks he has Paul Sweeney cleared, but he ends up turning himself into the 90 of DJ Daniels and the 11 of Neji Huga, squeezing them and Bobby Portu up into the wall. This would not be the end of the 90s ride, though. He gets into that first wreck, and then he pulls down right in front of Dale Underwood and Alex Carson, collecting them, and he sweeps up the track into Vinny Enzo, taking the 22 into the wall. In a separate incident, Leigh Gurel is going to turn the 29 of Tristan Roberts into Ronald Porter and take Nami Moore and Michael White up into the wall. Porter slides down the track and gets clobbered by Dallas Dupree and Anthony Griffith. Porter would climb out of his car okay, but after a fantastic start, his day would be done. This is the pack coming to the restart. Half the field is out of the race. Oh yeah, one more thing. This is lap 12 out of 40. Even with half of his competition out of the race, this is the best run Lance Andrews has ever had in an ARLA car so far. The former TM Master Cup Series veteran makes an excellent move on Ali Riggs and Kevin Monroe to take the lead going into turn 3. Another driver who's benefited from a lack of competition was Philip Davidson in the 99. This team usually runs midfield, but this week would be very different as Davidson challenged Lance Andrews for the lead. However, his parade would be rained on by Kurt Walker in the 98, who led Andrews and Ali Riggs right past him. The final caution of the day would fly on lap 16. Ali Riggs is going to try to block Kevin Monroe coming through turn 3. However, she gets herself turned onto the apron, almost flips the car over, and takes herself, Philip Davidson, and Kevin Monroe up into the wall. She was the Riggs family's last hope to impress their home crowd, as Sister Leslie and Mother Brenda were both involved in that lap 1 wreck. This is the second week in a row that Ali Riggs has gotten into an incident that could have been avoided had she used a little tool called patience. Kurt Walker would lead on the restart, with the rest of the top 5 being made up by Lance Andrews, Andy Pearson, Mario Franchetti, and Taylor Brillen. Jason Bates was involved in the lap 1 incident, however he has done a great job in keeping up with the leaders. Bates is a very underrated driver, however this has been a poor year for him so far. He's failed to qualify for several races. This is ARLA Thunder Trucks driver Frank Haxon in the 35, making his first start in the Elite Series and running up in the top 10. Some may write this performance off as a fluke, given how just about the entire field is fast at these super speedway races. However, because of this track's figure 8 configuration, a lot of the underdogs have not had much of a chance to run up front, and with Haxon fighting to the front like this, it can be safely assumed that he has some hidden talent. Back up front, Andy Pearson leads in that blue Smash Beer number 2 he's made famous over the years. He won in the United Kingdom last weekend and was looking to do the same today. However, Kurt Walker's presence would force Pearson to put those plans on hold as the 98 swept by the 2 and took the field right by him. Lance Andrews would be making a march back towards the front, getting by Mario Franchetti for second, a familiar position to him. But Andrews would be thwarted by Liz Hebert in the 31. Hebert, trying to show that her win at Indianapolis was no fluke, sweeps by the 76 for the lead, bringing Kurt Walker and Mario Franchetti with her. But Walker would decide that this day belonged to the veterans and took the lead from the 31 without a problem. The field would eventually catch up to the slow number 03 of Dale Underwood. He's going to hold up the field coming out of turn 4. However, he is going to let Kurt Walker go to the inside. Looks like Lance Andrews is going to leave the door open for Mario Franchetti, but he denies it to the 4. Underwood lets the top 4 go without a problem, but the same cannot be said for how he treated the rest of the lead group. With the laps winding down, the top 4 would run single file, each of them planning their next move very carefully. But then Andy Pearson is going to find a huge burst of speed. He gets by Mario Franchetti and Lance Andrews and starts chasing down the 98. Pearson would get by the 98 without too much help, pushing Walker back to 3rd. But Walker would quickly slip back in line and hook up the 76 of Lance Andrews. And then Walker decides that 76 was just holding him up and leaves him out to dry. With 2 laps to go, Kurt Walker makes the move to the inside by himself, and then Liz Hebert in the 31 slowly shifts over to the bottom right behind the 98. At the rate the 98 was getting by the 2, Kurt Walker would not have the preferred line going into turn 1 on the last lap. Andy Pearson, with no one able to mount a charge on him, takes the win at Buffalo, his 2nd in a row. And here are your top 10 finishers. Hinata Hyuga matches her best finish of the year. Kurt Walker in 3rd. Lance Andrews, his 2nd start of the season, he gets 4th. Liz Hebert picks up where she left off with another strong run. Mario Franchetti in 6th. Leigh Gruel, the Ravani Emmy winner, in 7th. Taylor Brillon gets her 3rd top 10 finish of the year. Bruno Battaglia, after an uncharacteristic stretch of DNQs, finishes 9th, and Jason Bates rounds out the top 10. Bates actually finished about 26 seconds behind the leader. He fell off the pace and never made up that ground. And now for the top 10 in points, we have a new leader once again. This time it is Kurt Walker in the 98. Kevin Monroe in 2nd, Leslie Riggs 3rd. Andy Pearson jumps up to 4th. He has very quickly become a championship contender. Hinata Hyuga moves up to 5th. Allie Riggs drops to 6th. 7th is Neji Hyuga, who was out of the top 30 about 5 races ago. 8th is Alex Carson, appropriately enough, in car number 8. DJ Daniels still leads the Rookie of the Year standings in 9th place. However, he is now facing pressure from Siju Dejiao, who has now made his way up into the top 10.